All righty. So I want to say thank you for joining us today. This is our second Student Alumni Roundtable, where the whole purpose of this is to have the students be able to connect with alumni and faculty so that to help them get through their doctoral program, from student to graduate to working out in the field. So thank you for joining us. Thank you, Dr. June. Um, Sophia's bringing up our PowerPoint. And so for those who have joined us, because we do have some students who have joined us, let me do some introductions. So I'm Dr. Renee Dorn. I'm Director of Alumni Relations for GSEP. And working with me has been Sophia Enriquez, and she is the Alumni Relations Analyst.
Yes.
Yes, so thank you, Sophia. And for our speakers today, our official speakers, I'm going to say, we have Dr. June Schmieder Ramirez. She is the director of our PhD in Global Leadership and Change program. And then we also have two alums from the program, Dr. Amanda Wickramasinghe. Wait a second. Wait a second, Amanda, say that one more time.
You did it perfectly. Good job, Renee.
Did I? Okay, perfect. And then Dr. Carrie Cisna is also a graduate of the PhD program. So we're thrilled to have all three of them speaking with us today. Now, part of the roundtable is allowing not only the students to be able to ask questions, but the alums to be able to jump in and give some advice to the students and to some of the other alums, so that everyone will be able to join in the conversation. Hello, Scott.
Ooh.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, Scott.
We're all looking at the picture of your dog here.
That's right.
Scott,
I'll be there in just a minute.
Okay.
Okay. So why don't
I'm dragging these dogs out of a car so I can get onto this thing.
Oh. So why don't we go ahead and get started with Dr. June?
Uh-oh.
Yes, Dr. June, I'm putting you on the spot first. So
okay, great.
Just to give an overview of the PhD program and what students should expect. I know some students are in different parts of the program, whether they just starting or finished their first or second year or in the dissertation phase. So if you could just sort of give an overview of the program and let everybody know what the students should expect as they're going through
Sure.
to the finish line. Yes.
Well, I'd be happy to, and I appreciate everyone being here. And thank you, Dr. Dorn, for doing this. We're still on the same page about a conceptual framework of being able to react personally and conceptually and technically. So that's kind of where we started with. So we're really on that same track. But there has been some changes a little bit in the thinking. Number one, I've set up a PhD advisory committee. So what this is one rep per class, because I felt like the program was getting large enough where we needed to kind of capture some things before they moved, because we're getting a lot more variety on students. We're getting a lot more complicated issues that are coming up with Black Lives Matter and maybe some things we should address as a global leader. So what's happened is the complexity has increased. When you start something and it's simple and you only have one class, I think Scott Beckett was in the first class. Carrie, I'm not sure Carrie was in the first. Okay, so it's gotten a lot more. As you know, when it gets more complicated, you have to adjust. So we did change some things that is looking at adjustments of what's going on. Granted, we have people who have different scenarios. There's probably one group of people who want to take it in a more business orientation.
Mhm.
Probably a group that want to take it more social science. There's probably a group that want to take it more in social justice and areas of that nature. So we do have a lot of competing issues. So therefore, we set up a PhD in Global Leadership Advisory Committee. And I think what's good about that is that we can debate a lot of these issues. So we're debating a lot of issues as to where we're going to go from here. We currently have almost 135 students in the program, 135 to 150, which is really massive for this is only the third or fourth year. And then we have 45 more students that are new for fall. So that means that some programs in the university may have 2 or 3 or 5 or 10, but we probably have one of the largest influx of people. We also have a large transfer from the EDD, so that presents complexities too. Um, at this point, the biggest issue we have as a challenge is to look for PhD teachers, professors. So if any of you do have anyone to suggest, let me know, even on a part-time basis. So if you go to a conference, you see somebody that really makes a difference, please let me know about that. The other thing is exciting is this weekend there's 3 days and we're going to present. We couldn't go on a trip, right? We can't go to China, India, and Belize. So we're doing an impossible thing. What we're doing is holding a trip on Zoom. If you had told me that I would be part of a Zoom meeting like a trip, I would really be wondering about that, a few weeks ago, because I don't do the same thing being in China or being in India and being in Belize. It's not the same thing as Zoom. Okay, that's a given, right? But we've managed to have several people talk at this conference, such as President Sankot from the University of Belize. We have, let's see, we have the president of the university here. We have also Dr. Ian Mitroff on crisis management. We have several other great speakers. Frida Sideroff, who does filmmaking in Venice here in LA, and she does filmmaking in Belize. And she is president of the Garifuna Film Society. So these are people I would never have met if I was in Belize, which is strange, because the planes are expensive and getting places is expensive. So we're
Right.
getting speakers unbelievably. So I have 12 sessions
Oh,
and
wow.
several. I know, it's going to be interesting. I might ask several of you to speak at some of these sessions, but so it's exciting, and I think it's going to be great. And so I appreciate being here today. I'll be happy to answer any questions on whatever you'd like, PhD. Thank you.
And you said the event is this weekend?
Yes. Now it's a little strange the way the event is structured. It's 754. I don't know if you're familiar with PhD 754B, which is the trip. So what
Okay.
they're basically doing, and they are accepting some applications where people want to sit in perhaps for something. I think there's something called Zoom bombing, but I don't think we want to do that. That's against their law, I guess. So um, anyway, so it's a great thing to be doing. They have both President Gash and Provost Mars, so we're really looking forward to that. They also have the Honorary Consul of Senegal. They have Denise Pines, President of the Medical Board of California. So it's really, people are most likely now, I've decided, going to speak if they don't have to travel. You may know
Right.
that. So we are getting speakers. We are getting a person who lives in a cave. His name is Dr. Richard Hansen. And it may sound funny that he's living in a cave, but he actually does archaeology and that type of work in Guatemala and Belize. So he does all his work in cave. So hopefully, I'm not sure the wireless there, but Wi-Fi, but we're going to try that.
Now, if we wanted to join in the session, how would we be able to do that?
Oh, okay. So I'm not in charge of that, but if you contact, let's see, who's Seta Kajarian or Christy Dilo, you could ask her
Okay.
if they are. giving out opportunities. But the one thing I would caution you is don't mention Dr. June on that. Just say you heard it in the hallway. Not allowed to. But anyway, it's going to be great. And I'm really pleased to see so many people come back who are alumni. Um, they're actually looking for the best dissertations from the PhD. They've asked me from the assessment office. So I know all of you did excellent dissertations or are in the process of. So just email and let me know what the title is and I'll send it on to them. So they're very interested in that. You may also know that Dr. Tanya Ensign has written a well-received article called The Making of a PhD. So that's being circulated right now. And so we wanted to keep a record of how it started and who were the first group and the second group and the third group. So they're very excited about that. So just to let you know. Now, COVID has put in kind of a slowness, maybe a stop. Oh, it's Scott Beckett. Oh my gosh. I'll have to get rid of that on my screen because that destroys my whole screen.
This is as good as it gets, June.
I want to tell you a quick story while we're on the screen about Scott Beckett. That's a good picture of you, the other picture. We were taking a trip to Belize and we were looking at all these, people, dignitaries, and we were looking at very rigorous issues. So we couldn't find Scott for a couple hours. We looked around, we couldn't find him. We thought maybe he'd gone in the water or something. Hadn't come back. We try to keep track of that, but sometimes we miss, we did lose one, don't tell anyone, but but they all come back. But so we looked around and every time he was missing, he was in a air conditioned room and he was on his computer. And so I've never seen anything like that. So here we were in the paradise and he was on his computer all the time. So I don't know what you're doing now, Scott, but it probably involves a computer. Is that correct?
Well, I'm on the phone with you, June, which it does. Yeah.
Yeah. See?
I had to get my assignments done.
Oh, is that what I thought you were contacting the Boy Scouts or something.
Well, that was part of it.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
But it's great to see everybody. We have Sonia here, Sophia. Oh, Nori Connor, Greg, Lisa, Latanya, Carrie, Amanda, who I think is on the computer all the time, Scott, Renee, and whoever admin is. They named me that. I don't know why. Okay, so I'm. Do you have any other questions, Renee? Do you want me to get to the Breakers part, or is that part of it?
Well, we're just getting started with you, Dr. June. We will
Okay.
more
I want to hear from a lot. Yeah, I'll be here for any questions. Is this for 3 hours? I heard it was 3 hours. Is that correct?
No, it's just one.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Just one. Yeah. So we want to take half your day. Just an hour of it.
No problem. Yeah. Glad to see everybody.
Yes. So for Carrie and Amanda, two of our alums. So let me start with Amanda. Tell us what you're doing right now and how this PhD program sort of helped you, is currently helping you with the position that you're in now.
Sure. So thanks, Renee, for having me. It's nice to see you all. Scotty, it's good to see you. I haven't seen you in so long.
Yeah, you too.
So Scott, Carrie, and I, we were all in the same cohort, so they have a special place in my heart.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So currently, I am the Director of Education for ERA Brokers. We are a company here in Las Vegas, and we have 9 different offices between Nevada and Utah. So I oversee currently all the education initiatives, training programs, and instructional design for all of our in-house programs, as well as our learning management system, RD Academics. I spearheaded and launched that program back in 2017. We launched the LMS for both Nevada and Utah, and we're entering the California market for 2021. So we have currently 4,500 enrollments, and it's a real estate technology platform. And what's really unique about my position currently is the CEO is also an academic himself. He's from Carnegie Mellon. And we have very similar views and alignment when it comes to education. We want to make it interactive, competency-based learning. However, we still want to keep it engaging. So when we launched the learning management system, it's for real estate education. We tailored it similar to a higher education model. So with the PhD, the PhD has helped me in so many different ways. I teach at 2 different universities as well, and I've done a lot of work with Dr. June. But in addition to that, I've taken a lot of my courses that I've gone through with both the EDD and the PhD and applied them to my current role. I noticed in all the different positions I've been in the past few years, a lot of the skill sets transfer. Okay. You just kind of have to tailor it to that specific position. And I think the PhD is great in that regard because we looked at such a variety of different classes and we learned so many different things from great professors with good skill sets and backgrounds.
Wonderful.
I can keep going, but I'll turn it over to Carrie so I don't take up.
Could I ask a quick question, Amanda?
Yes.
Sure.
Okay. I was curious, it's real estate technology. Do you actually teach people to take the test? Is that
correct?
Take the real estate test? Oh, okay.
Correct. So we tailor, we teach them about the real estate exam and we help them with their continuing education.
Oh, very good.
Continuing education encompasses everything from marketing, communications, and specific subjects tailored just for real estate for state and regulatory compliance.
So you have to actually match the state with what you're doing. That's very complicated. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Are you teaching at a university, Amanda?
I am. So I teach at Brandman University. And I just got offered another adjunct position at another university. So in the process of getting all that paperwork and onboarding process going right now.
That's to be commended because I know there's a lot of competition to teach, even adjunct now. Yeah, very good.
I would love to do more, but I would never have a break. So I have to stop.
Yeah, you have to kind of.
So this is enough for now.
You have to take only so many things. Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Amanda. So, Carrie, tell us what you're doing right now and how the PhD program is helping you with what you're currently doing.
Sure. And also just want to say welcome, Matt. Matt joined us.
Who?
He was also in the first PhD cohort.
Not Matt Lambro.
No.
Matt Lambro? Oh, no, it's a different Matt. Oh.
Matt Watson.
Oh, Matt Watson. I have pictures of you on a bike. I think it's the same Matt. Didn't you go to Belize? I thought you. No. You
No.
Didn't. Oh, okay. It was another Matt Watson. Okay, sorry.
There's a few of us out there.
But ironically, Farzine didn't remember that Matt went to China either. So it works out.
He didn't? Oh, and he went with Farzine?
Yeah.
Oh, that's really sad. Yeah.
He lost me in China and then asked me where I could be found.
Did you get lost in China?
No, he was talking to me when he lost me.
Oh.
It was a long day. I don't think he recognized me.
I see. Yeah, he has lost people in China, but we don't want to go into that probably.
Oh yeah, that was my cohort.
No. That was your
That was my EDD cohort, yeah. But Matt, right, I love the beard. Looks like you are social distancing.
Very well. Doing a lot of it. I just keep joining Zoom meetings. They pop up, I go. That's the day now.
Yes. You're in Idaho?
Yeah.
Idaho. Cool. Well, hopefully you guys can see you guys all know we get really close with our classmates and we miss them. So it's so fun to see them again. So when I started, actually mid through my PhD program, I decided to quit my job and just focus on finishing the PhD. And 2 weeks after I quit my job, I got a job teaching adjunct. So I taught leadership and communication at an undergraduate level. And then I also picked up a few research classes that no one wants to teach. So a lot of times our departments don't want to teach like qualitative or mixed methods. So I was able to do that. And so I've been adjunct teaching for the past 2 years, and that has really helped me. Each semester, I think I get more comfortable with my own voice and because I've kind of inherited the syllabus from tenure track faculty. And so it's been an adjustment for me to trust my own gut and know, like, I know this will work better with changing the syllabus. So I think that's how my evolution over the past 2 years of teaching. And then I joined a research team when I started at GSEP in 2009. It's the Women in Leadership and Work-Life Balance research team. And so over the past 10 years, we have collected over 600 interviews. And through that, we have published 3 books.
Wow.
And we've presented our research at different conferences and written multiple articles. And I think that has made a significant difference for me. We continue to meet every Friday with my research team. Amanda's on that research team. She focused on Sri Lankan women. And so right now we're really focusing on women around the world. And we have studies from women in 8 countries. And we just want to keep expanding. So that has really helped me being a part of GSEP, just becoming more of a researcher. And then I got a job at Leadership Long Beach. I was the executive director, and I only did that for 6 months because I just got a postdoc fellowship at Wake Forest. Wow. So I'm actually en route moving to Wake Forest, and I'm so excited because I'm going to get to teach a class that I'm developing. So I'm going through some faculty workshops to learn, because as you know, the PhD program is mostly focused on you becoming a researcher, and then we have the one adult learning class. But I really do feel like me learning different techniques of pedagogy and teaching and even grading and how that has been kind of a process for me. And so I'm excited to join a team of researchers who are also teacher scholars. So this next year, I'm going to be at Wake Forest teaching some classes that I develop and doing some more research. And that's kind of where the PhD has taken me. I think my advice, I think all of you who have done the PhD, the experience is you really have to be willing to leave where you're at, because we get very comfortable in our own environments. But part of the PhD process is like you really are leveling up in every sense of the matter. You're going to have new friends, you're going to have new coworkers, you're going to have new topics, and especially with the global leadership. I mean, now my mind really works in a completely different way. Like I see everything through a global lens, and that is overwhelming for people. When I was in Long Beach teaching leadership, I was training executive leaders in Long Beach, but I have this global lens. So for me, everything is about what can we do in Long Beach that sets the stage for what can be done globally. And so I really think that's invaluable. And June, I remember sitting in your presentation when you presented the PhD in global leadership at the Waves of Innovation.
Oh, you were there? Oh,
yeah, I was there.
That was my sad night.
That was awesome. Why was it sad? Oh,
well,
yeah.
It was sad because I basically lost, but that's fine. Yeah, do you remember that?
Yeah, and I saw the vision for it, and you articulated it well, and I think it was very forward thinking.
Thank you. But
now to just know, especially after COVID, I think everyone sees like, oh, we are all connected by the air that we breathe. Like,
right.
To know that we really are one human race on a planet or a spaceship called Earth. And so to get more people thinking that way is really going to change everything. Right. So thank you, June, for having that.
Well, thank you. Well, thank you for attending. There were a few people there, so that was good of you. Do you know who won over us? Not that I'm competitive, but the person who wanted to paint rooms at Seaver. So we should so we should go check how that's coming along. But no, not that I'm bitter. But did I ever tell you what happened at the end of that meeting that night? I was walking. I'm not competitive at all, but I was walking out of that night, and my iPhone started blinking, and I looked down, and it said in big letters, "Bring this back." And do you know who that was signed by? President Andrew Benton.
Oh, awesome.
So he was circumventing that group. So it was funny, yeah. But thank you for attending. You should be congratulated. So I'm glad you're doing so well. It sounds wonderful. Did you say Wake Forest or Lake Forest?
Wake Forest, Wake.
Oh, good for you! Wow,
it's a really good research school, and it's a grant funded position, so it's not going anywhere. I know there's a lot of hiring freezes right now in higher ed. Right. So I feel lucky to get to go do it.
Well, good for you.
Yeah.
If any of you find any areas, we have had a lot of requests for topics like social justice and critical thinking and kind of the new, as you know, probably from what you're looking at. So we've gotten some requests for those tracks. So it'd be interesting to see if it moves in that direction. But we are going to still keep the global lens. So I'm glad you mentioned that. Thank you.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Seems like everyone's doing quite well. So
Yeah.
actually, at this point, I want to hear from some of the other alums who are, in this Zoom calls to let us know what you're doing and how the PhD program helps you currently in the job that you are in. So maybe Matthew?
Got to figure out mute, right?
There we go. Now
So,
we can hear.
Yeah, it's a good question. I'll probably refer my initial thoughts jumping into the program, first starting off with the EDD and then transitioning into the PhD. My original goal was actually to go teach then. I had a background in training development and then moved into business development with HP. Was able to do that at the same time while going to school. And what I realized, by the time I hit graduation, I don't know if I had put it in my head that, there would be recruiters or different opportunities to go jump in on a tenure track. And just realized that that's actually not the case, or that wasn't the case from what I saw. And so looking back in retrospect, I probably would have put a lot more focus on, because you will write a lot in the program, of probably more focused writing and research while in the program that would have then helped in that application process to go get into onto a tenure track. But by the time I had graduated, I realized that that probably wasn't going to be an avenue that I was going to be able to go down, at least not immediately. And though I would have liked to have kept researching, building that resume to go hit a tenured program, I in turn went probably did a 180 direction, kind of still focusing really on the corporate side, and to go build a small unproductive consulting business to help. You got to pay off school loans, right? So that was somewhat of my focus. With work, it got me a promotion into the next role, which is good. More in the learning development area. Probably more of my focus then has been on writing really for my own.
Right.
You get in the habit and you write, and you write, and you write, and you write, and just continuing that habit. And so I'm working on my 5th book right now. Which they're not for anybody. They're just for me. So that's fine. But that's the beauty of Amazon publishing, of any crazy person can get their word out. But and that's been my path to actually go focus on the stuff I want to go research on, and actually write on and theorize on. And so that's kind of the model I went down. Hopefully that.
Oh, look who's here.
Hi.
Cool.
Yes.
Hey, gang. Sorry to be so late. Don't mean to disrupt.
No, I wanted to thank Matthew, first of all. Wow. I didn't know Amazon publishing, that sounds like a great way to as an avenue to publish. I hadn't thought about that.
It is.
How do you, yeah, what kinds of topics do you publish?
So probably 3 short reads, one on strategy, one on change, one on enabling innovation. Then I took my dissertation, rewrote that in probably more of a business format in that. And then right now we're writing another one on change management.
Good
so
for
all
you.
kind of focused in our area.
Wow. And people buy them off Amazon? Is that how that works? Or
like
no?
1 or 2. That's all you need, right?
Yeah,
Validation.
Sounds good to me.
All right. Well, thank you, Matthew. Michael, actually, you just came right on time, because we're going around to the alums asking how the PhD program has been helping them in the positions in which they're currently in. So maybe you could just sort of tell everyone what you're doing right now and how the PhD program helped you.
Yeah, so thanks. I feel a little uncomfortable talking about myself here. So I guess since I graduated from the PhD, and I got my EdD first in 2016, and then I did the PhD and graduated in 2018. So since I graduated, I've kind of bounced back and forth in my career between HR business partner jobs and talent management jobs. So back in October, I got named the Chief Talent Officer of Johnson & Johnson. So I've got responsibility for all of recruiting and leadership development, which we have branded as our Human Performance Institute, workforce analytics, succession management, and some other COEs. So that's been great. I mean, I think the degree helped me to attain that position, and it's been a role that I've always dreamed about. I've got to figure out, once they kick me out of that role, what I'm going to do the rest of my career. But for now, things are really good. And then additionally, I got named as the chair of the Rutgers School of Industrial and Labor Relations Advisory Board. So I've been working with Rutgers quite a bit and helping them with their graduate degree programs.
Oh, wonderful. That's fantastic. Well, congratulations.
Mhm.
Yes, yeah.
And then whenever I get a chance to join a Carrie's class, I try to talk to those students too.
Oh my gosh, he's a great guest lecturer. He's so inspiring. So you guys should all have him. I love what he basically talked to my students about creating their own brand and understanding their brand as a leader and what is your target market and what's your target audience. It's so good.
Wow.
Well, you know what then, Michael, we have these jammy online sessions that have been taking place this summer, and we're going to have them again in the fall. So I guess we're going to be contacting you.
Mm-hmm.
You can speak at one of our jammy online sessions because it's career services and alumni relations partnering.
I'd be very happy to join. That sounds great.
Wonderful. We'll just wait for our call and email because we will be contacting you. Okay.
And for the record, I got Matt Watson's book pro bono, so I got to read it for free. It's very good. I have it on my desk, so I try to market and sell it wherever I can.
Wow. There you go.
Unfortunately, it's locked in our corporate headquarters in New Brunswick, which I haven't been back to for a couple of months. But once I get back there, Matt.
Yeah. It's only going to take 2 or 3 years. Don't worry. It's like a wine. It gets better with age.
Now, Scott, tell us what you're doing and how the PhD program has been helping you.
I'd like to know that too. Yeah. Oh, he's
where did Scott go?
I bet
he texted me that I think he had a client call come in, so I'm not sure if he's available.
Okay. All right. Well, if that's the case, then we'll go on to the students. So those who are currently in the PhD program, this is a great opportunity. If you have any questions for the alums or any questions for Dr. June, this is the perfect opportunity for you to speak up and get any kind of questions asked. Whether it has to do with your classes and maybe some tips or pointers on how you got through some of the classes, or anything like that. So does anyone have a question? You can speak now. Yes, Nori.
Hi, thanks so much for the opportunity to join and have this conversation. I already, Amanda, thank you. Got your private message. I'll connect with you after about research groups. I'm really interested in that. I am in 801 right now about disseminating knowledge, research. And I was just kind of wondering maybe what your approach for the alumni, what your approach was in that class. Did you focus on a certain aspect of your dissertation and do further research and publication in that area? Would love to hear your thoughts about 801 and what your approach was.
So I can maybe chime in, first, which, I think a big learning for me along the program was this notion that you don't necessarily need permission to run in circles of leaders in any sort of academic field. And, with the encouragement of the faculty, I reached out. I was studying primarily authenticity in leadership and transparency. And I reached out to a number of the sort of leading thought disseminators there. And surprisingly to me, and this is where we sort of get the permission, is people will pick up the phone and answer those emails when you're part of that Pepperdine PhD or EdD program. And from there, I was able to sort of connect on some research that Adam Grant was doing out of the University of Pennsylvania. And then we had a professor in another class named Dr. Joyce Oslin, and June just referenced this, who taught us. And I asked her if she was doing any research that I might be able to contribute in my area of focus and authenticity. So I was able to, co-write a chapter in her book on global leadership. So I guess some advice would be is don't think that you're not in the realms of the top thought leaders in your space, and reach out to some of those people and see if you can help or find out what they're working on, and maybe there's some overlaps based on your areas of focus.
Mm-hmm. That I would say though that was unusual, Michael, to be honest with you. But I think it's worth pursuing if you'd have a professor that's teaching in your area to ask if you could maybe add to their book, because I personally have never seen that before. So I think because of your experience at Johnson & Johnson, don't you think that helped a little, or maybe not?
There's a backstory. Michael left class early to go to China and was forced to do it.
That's right.
He just wrote very well.
That was my reprimand, is I needed to contribute to the book because I missed class. Yeah.
Oh, that was it. Okay, I wondered about that. Okay.
One note with what Michael just said there too, in very similar on the circles you run with, of just going through every time you read a journal article, and you're reading, or basically a journal article or anything you're picking up, and it's just interesting. Very simply too, if you check out on LinkedIn, they're very easy to go connect with, and actually then build and collaborate and go on to that. You think that, oh, it's a published paper, they're out there in a different stratosphere. But
I'd like to add to that, for the faculty conference, I helped the provost pick a very unusual speaker. And it's like what you're saying, you connect with a very unusual speaker. The person's name was Ryan Craig. And what he proposed was that we end all universities at the graduate level, and then just take smaller classes for certifications. So it was so unusual to have someone who spoke against the entire university, that a lot of people did come to the conference. So the provost told me he was never going to ask me again for a suggestion, but that didn't bother me. I just said, well, I appreciate your thoughts. And but he was unusual. He's got a very unusual book too. He believes in smaller certifications. Carrie, I think you know about that, the smaller certifications. Yeah. But I don't think you'll ever get rid of higher ed. So hopefully.
Yeah. Thank you for the question. LaTanya, you had a question as well.
No, actually I don't anymore.
Oh, okay.
But it's okay.
All right. Does anyone else have any other questions regarding the program that you're in? Are you having any difficulties in the program? Maybe the alums could sort of help you get through some of that with some suggestions or some tips. Or if you're in the dissertation phase, is there anything regarding your dissertation that maybe one of the alums could help you with? Any questions that you may have?
Okay, I have one more now. I just thought of something else. Because I am in the dissertation phase. How do I go about finding members for my committee? Like I've been trying to wreck my brain on how to go about finding, the right members for my committee.
That's a good question. That's a good one. Carrie, did you have?
Yeah, I was looking to see if someone else wanted to take it, but I think it's really important to have a diverse committee. And so
when you say diverse, what do you mean?
Well, for me, I have 3 different religions, because I was looking at workplace spirituality in particular. So I was wanting 3 different religions. But I think it kind of just depends on what your topic is. Maybe just 3 different areas of thought, like an engineer and a teacher and a policy person. but it kind of, I guess, just depends. You're usually going to resonate with at least one of your professors on your topic, and that's typically who you try to get to be your chair. And then your chair will help you form your committee. So you don't form your committee yet until you talk to your chair, because there is a possibility that it would change with your conversation with your chair. That would be my suggestion. Yeah, just, and it really is just important to find people who align with your topic and who are knowledgeable at your topic. Because when I did the EDD, I had someone who was in particular a women's studies person, because my topic was women's studies, and she noticed she noticed that a law had passed a different year than I had written about, and so there's just no way someone would know unless they're an expert in that field. And so that's definitely, that came across to, I had a Buddhist, a Jewish person, and a Christian on my committee this last time. And the Buddhist really kind of pointed out some things about duality that I was not aware of, and also about mindfulness. I was defining mindfulness in a different way than a traditional Buddhist would. Well, that's really significant, because I'm coming from a Christian perspective. And so, yeah, that would be my suggestion, but I'm sure my colleagues have ideas too.
So I'll add to Carrie's great points. So my committee was, Dr. June was actually my chair, and Dr. Margaret Weber, who was the former dean, and Dr. Eric Schockman. All three of them had unique skill sets, and our research interests all aligned. So that definitely helped me. And I think it's really important that you have a committee who you can have conversations with and share, just have a great dialogue and share your thoughts, because that's so important in the dissertation process. And it's also important that you select a committee who you have actual solid relationships with. Dr. June, Dr. Weber, and Dr. Schockman, they picked up my calls every single time I called them, answered my questions, walked me through my thoughts, helped me get my thoughts on paper. So I think that's really important as well, that you have really good relationships with them, because ultimately they're going to help you come to the end of the line. And I know with my process, all three of them were instrumental in my completion process of the dissertation.
Let me ask a question here, because I've talked with different people who, when they selected their committee members, they may not have known one of the members, but they knew of them and that they had a certain expertise in an area. Would you suggest selecting someone that you don't know but may have an expertise, or just have committee members that you know that you could possibly work with?
This is Greg. That's a really good question. And I think that has to do a little bit with your relationship with your chair, their comfort level, and having someone that is unknown. I had Barry Posner on my committee. I'd never met him before, but my chair, Martine Jago, said, who do you really want? If you could shoot for the stars, who would you want? And so in this case, it was an unknown variable, and having Dr. Posner on there, and it ended up being really helpful. He really sharpened my dissertation. I would say he spent at least 50 to 60 hours total throughout, the 8-month period. That's maybe a little bit of exaggeration. Maybe I'll say 20 to 30 hours. But he really spent a lot of time, which I really appreciate. And so I could have seen myself going with someone that I knew and would maybe be a quote unquote safer route. But in my case, I felt like for me, it was worth taking that risk, which it paid off.
Okay.
What was your topic, Greg?
It was a case study of a leadership program for college students that came from poverty in Kenya and Uganda.
Wow. Okay, Barry Posner, that's huge that you got him on your committee.
Yeah, I mean, kind of like what Michael was saying about just reaching out to people and people being willing to, to engage with you. I created a video. Basically, it was my elevator pitch. I just said, Dr. Posner, I know your work. Here's a 3-minute pitch for my research. Would you consider being on my committee? Here's what it would look like, how many hours it would take. And he sent an email a day later saying absolutely. So that was an honor.
That's fantastic. Anybody else for suggestions regarding dissertation committees? No.
I will, Sonia has a question in the chat box, just how did I get the postdoc? And it is similar to what Greg is describing, because I saw this postdoc from Academy of Management. If you guys are not aware of Academy of Management, they have a conference every year. They bring together 10,000 people from around the world that teach management or teach leadership. And of that, there's subsects based in your discipline. So you can, if you're org behavior or your change, for me, I'm religion and spirituality, and there's 800 people just in that subset. So I'll go to the meetups with them, and then I'll find people that I can do research with and get published with. But I'm also on a listserv, so I get the jobs, and there's teaching jobs around the world, tenure track. And I saw this postdoc at Wake Forest, and I looked it up, and the guy's name is Michael Lamb, and he started the Character Project at Oxford. He has a theology background from Princeton, and he's really into leadership. So he's at the intersection of spirituality and leadership, which is what I'm interested in. So I reached out to him directly and said, hey, I just applied for this postdoc. I see your background is in theology and its intersection with leadership, and I think we would have a lot to talk about. I know I'm not as pedigreed as you are, but I would love to be under your tutelage. And I explained why. I told him what my research is, which is self-actualized leadership. I feel like I'm coming up with a grounded theory in self-actualized leadership from my dissertation. I'm like, but I don't know. But I need to be under someone like you to see what you've done to take a concept to publication. And so I got an interview with a committee a few weeks later on Zoom, and then a week later I got the offer. And they're hiring a group of postdocs. So I'm going to have a cohort of 4 postdocs that I'm going to go through. And yeah, I feel very lucky, but I think it is specifically because I found someone whose research really aligns, and then you throw out your idea. And they may think your idea is crazy. I also applied for a postdoc at Northwestern. Same thing. I found a guy who does leadership. It's in their School of Engineering, but it's a theology background. And so I know that there's only certain people that are going to have those kind of 2 lenses that would understand what I'm saying, and we'll have a language. And so that's how I did it. And I think that it really is, you do some research on the person, and if you want to partner with them, you tell them why, and if they buy the vision or not. Just like we bought Dr. June's vision that a PhD in global leadership is a thing, and we want to work with her. And so we caught her vision, and now that's kind of how it continues.
Wow, that's fantastic! Congratulations! Congratulations on that. I see that Nori had a question earlier, and that she was asking about research groups or research teams, because Amanda, you had mentioned research teams. How did you learn about becoming a part of a research team, and what was the process for you to become a part of it?
So I actually had to give a lot of credit to Carrie, because she is the one who really, we're close friends. She really opened my eyes to research. I just published a book chapter with her and Dr. Margaret Weber. We looked at global perspectives from women leaders from 8 different countries. What's fascinating about research is it's never ending, right? It's a continuous process, and you're constantly in that discovery mode. So and right now I'm on 2 other research teams as well. One with Jenny Walker, who is currently faculty at Indiana Tech, and she did her postdoc at Thunderbird School of Global Management. So we have a similar interest in international leadership. So we're doing a book together as well. But what I would suggest, and Nori, I know I messaged you saying I'm happy to connect offline, is to find people and groups who have similar interests as you with research, and just reach out to them and have some conversations. My recent collaboration with Jenny Walker, we just connected over LinkedIn and had a long conversation. And then through our conversations, I found out that she worked very closely with Dr. Mansoor Javadine, who is a pioneer in the global mindset research. And we just collaborated on that regard and just had some conversations. And then we discovered that we have a lot more similarities than differences. And that gave us a great platform to collaborate together and work on projects. So happy to connect with you offline and have a long dialogue.
Wonderful, wonderful. Does anyone else have any other questions regarding maybe dissertation, regarding your classes, regarding your committees? Any questions regarding your PhD program that you may need a little bit of assistance in, or you get some clarification with? Either Lisa or Sonia or Latanya, any questions? No? Okay. So I guess we can get ready to wrap things up because it's actually almost 1 o'clock. So Dr. June, is there anything else that we need to know what's going on with the PhD program before we wrap up this session?
I guess the main thing is no program is great that's not looked at closely every 2 to 3 years. That'd be my main message. That you can't just let a program go forward with the same thoughts that started it. So I would say that the global part of global leadership is still there, but I think that I see an expansion a little bit from the business area into a broader sense. Because you can see with COVID-19, people were saying, well, what skills do people need to cope with uh, issues like this that no one foresees? And as you probably know, Ian Mitroff, who's the crisis management, said a lot of times there's no way to see these things, but you have to have a global mindset, he mentioned. So that's still going to be in there. So I'm just happy that we made it wide enough so that we can encompass all these things that we can't foretell. Because as you know, people entering grade school now, kids entering grade school, there's no telling what the jobs are going to be in the future, a lot,
Right.
in 10 or 20 years. So, and we say a global leader can span boundaries, and all of you are global leaders. So I'm just glad we picked this topic because I think you all are in demand or going to be further in demand as we move forward. The other thing is I'd like for you to take the $50, no, that's another, sorry about that. There's a free SurveyMonkey test if you haven't taken it, the global mindset inventory. So we're getting a lot more interest. You know, the thing is with COVID, I thought people would kind of not be interested in, but we have had a lot more interest in the degree. And I appreciate you today for having this and all of you attending. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Dr. June. Thank you to all the alums who joined us today, because the information that you have given has been quite valuable. That's why I was recording this, because I want the other students who may not have had the opportunity to join us today to be able to hear everything that you had to say. And for the students who joined, thank you for your questions. I appreciate your questions. You can tell your cohort members what they missed, but we would love to have another one of these roundtables, possibly in the fall and maybe again in the spring. So what we're going to do is, Sophia, if you could put up the last slide. This is for everyone. If you could, we do have a short evaluation of the roundtable. And you see it's with the QR code, so you could put your phone up there and you could go straight to the survey. Someone asked for a link. Yes, you know what? We can email all of you the link so that you have that as well.
Go ahead, Dr.
Oh, yes. And someone else was also asking, we also have the GSEP Alumni Relations QR code, because if you have not already filled out our form for that, we would love for you to fill that out, because we want you to be a part of the different activities that GSEP has going on. And then if you ever want to contact us, contact information, our email, and our phone number. So I guess this is the end of this session of our Student Alumni Roundtable for the PhD program. And we definitely want to contact you again and have you join us again for the next one that we are going to have in the fall. So thank you, Dr. June. Thank you, Thank you, Carrie. Thank you to all the alums, and thank you to the students who joined us today. I really appreciate it. And we are going to send you emails to thank you once again. So we aren't going to take up the rest of your day. Thank you. And good afternoon to everybody.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Nice seeing everyone.
Nice seeing everybody. Thank you.
Thank